Hey guys, back with another Echoing Thoughts podcast here, episode number 19. And in this podcast, sorry if my voice is a little funky. Was sick over the weekend. Just got my voice back, just got a little bit better. It's Wednesday, April 26th. It was a rough couple of days. Me and my entire family, well, my house got sick. But so we're just hanging in there right as the weather gets better. So it was nice to get some sun out the last couple of days. And getting back just back to normal. But in this podcast, kind of really wanted to talk about with the Lady Blair event coming out. I thought it was a good time to talk about my top reroll classes. It doesn't really necessarily mean who I think the best classes are. Now, most of them are, but I would say that my thinking for rerolling is not just who's the best class right now, but who's going to be the best class, in my opinion, down the road, right before the next Lady Blair event. Or maybe you want to gear up, level up a new account, a new character right now in preparation for the future, right? The next couple months, because there's going to be V3 coming out. There's going to be Cygnus Science Remaster. There's going to be rebalances. There's going to be tons of stuff coming out. And so there's a lot of factors in play. Those are sort of what I think about if I were to re-roll. I get a lot of questions actually, especially about re-rolling to Paladin. So I want to break down, kind of give people advice, um, what I think are some great classes to re-roll from. But then again, at the end of the day, my number one tip is usually figure out a class that you want to play that fits your play style, that you feel like is not, it's not about who's the strongest class, because that always changes. And even if it's usually the same classes that are the strongest DPS, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fit your play style. I know a lot of people that played Dual Blade when it first came out, when they've been strong the entire time, and they just end up burning out. They don't like the class. Maybe they wail too hard. Maybe they just didn't like the play style, whatever it is. And I feel like Dual Blades has the greatest turnover from when the class first came out um, since now. A lot of players, especially my server, have quit or quit, come back to the Dual Blade. So it's not always the best class, the strongest class. Sometimes it's not even the best class that I think is fun. It's sort of personal preference. Um, at the end of the day, everyone has different play styles, likes different things, but this is sort of my top classes, and I'll go with each category of classes. So I'll do um, archers, warriors, mages, pirates, thieves, and sort of just get my input. If you're one of these classes, usually they re-roll within the same category, I guess, because the armor switches over, and then the only thing they have to obviously change is the weapon. So we'll start off with the archers. I think the best class to re-roll, it's probably gonna be not a shocker, is the Mercedes. Hands down, Mercedes is just not just of the archers, but just a lot of all the classes in general. They're one of the strongest classes. They're very combo based. They're not very straightforward, it seems. Um, they have combos. They're not one preset, but they're not necessarily the best for free to plays either. They're not the best mobbers. They're not the best in leveling, I guess, but that for bossing single target specifically, they are S tier, SS tier. Guild Dungeon, they're gonna have probably arguably top three scores right now, and probably after V3, they're gonna be number one. Within that 60-second time frame, they're gonna be tough to beat. It's gonna be Mercedes is it's gonna be um you're not going to be upset about the damage. You're going to be excited about the progress you make with every. It's one of those classes that continues to get better. The more you invest in it, the more you grow your character, the more stats and the more time you put into the character. So it's really rewarding, right? It's not one that sort of peaks early. It may not shine right away as much as you think, but as you continue to grow it, as you continue to get more gear and invest in it and progress it, you're just going to continue to see results, results, results. And, you know, it's, that's really rewarding. That's really fun to see. I think a lot of people will enjoy that class. Again, they're not the best multi-target if you're into that type of stuff, but if it's bossing that you care about, you're an archer. They got the unicorn, they got the clones, they got the damage, they got the lines, they got the V3 skill. They're going to be, it's hard to argue as an archer. If you want to reroll to any other archer, that's probably the only option. I think the second one that I still think that's interesting is Wind Archer. And actually, I think Wind Archer and Bowmasters are pretty good for different reasons. Bowmasters are arguably the top mobbing class in the game, and their bossing is not half bad. Explorer Remaster is giving them a good boost in both. I think they're going to in a good place. Their V3 looks really strong as well. And then Wind Archers, they're going to get their V3 may not be that great, but their Cygnus Knights Remaster is going to be is apparently really strong. The playstyle changes a lot. You might have to watch some videos on that to see if it matches your playstyle, because the playstyle now versus post remaster is going to be completely different, but it may be something that is appealing to you, right? I think that's something that you should look into if that's if an archer class is one that you want to roll to from, either to Wind Archer, Mercedes, or Bowmaster. I think a lot of the archers are sort of in the same spot. Mercedes is a tier above, maybe two tiers above the rest of them, but it's hard to argue. If you're looking to reroll, I think Wind Archers, Bowmasters, and Mercedes are my top 3 reroll choices for kind of different reasons. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. I'm not too familiar with all the archer classes. I know a little bit, I think, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. Everyone has a right to their opinion. This is just mine. And the next let's get into the pirate classes. The pirate classes, I think if you're going to reroll, Arc seems like the strongest pirate. It seems the flashiest. Again, it's a combo class like Mercedes, so there's a sort of a skill cap to it. So what device you play on is a factor, right? How effective you can create those, do those combo skills on the device you play on is going to translate directly to your DPS, right? But it does seem like the flashiest. The animations are insane. I think their V3 is going to be awesome as well. They have insane lines. Their damage looks pretty good. So I think Arc, if you're looking to reroll off of maybe an Angelic Buster, maybe a Buccaneer, or another pirate, even Shade, I think Arc is definitely a great option. Their playstyle seems very unique, and just the output and the looks of the class, the graphics, animations is top tier. And I think another sleeper, a few sleepers actually, is kind of the Mechanic and the Corsair. I think that the Mechanic as well is going to be, I think both have amazing like animations, right? They're flashy. Their V3s are going to be insane. I think Mechanics is one of them. I think Mechanics have a pretty awesome, huge AoE kind of bomb type attack that just wipes the entire map, kind of just like a huge turret that just does insane damage and lines for bossing. That looks pretty insane. And I know Corsairs are really strong as well. So I think that those are the 3 pirate classes that I think that are very appealing, especially just how they look, right? They're how they look and what they project out to be post V3. It just seems like if you're looking to reroll off of another class, another pirate, I think those are my top 3 options. I think Shades still are really, really good. There's a lot of Shades out there still very needed in bossing content with their split skill and their crit res. Don't think crit res has gone away. Crit res is still important from their V2 skill. Split is still important. Their hyper is still very good. And I expect their damage to get rebalanced as well in the future. So They are great utility. I think, that's 4 pirate classes that are pretty good options, that I think can all do really well and can all be are all fun in their own way. And then mages, there's a lot of mages out there. I think that a lot of not really too many mages stand out in my opinion, right? I think my default answer for reroll, a lot of the times, the nice thing about mages is that they're a lot of the weapons translate to multiple classes, right? So that makes it nice. That kind of makes the decision easier, the option pool easier for some people if you don't want to completely get a new weapon. But I think usually my top choice for mages, there's bishop. Everyone needs a bishop. Bishops are always fun. Bishops are unique. Their playstyle is unique. They're not heavily reliant on DPS. You don't need maximum funding. Free to play, whales, all levels. Bishops are just needed just for the specificity of the class. The utility, the skills they have are second to none. I think if you just want a unique, different playstyle, a fresh start, I think Bishop is like stress-free, and there's no heavy reliance on wanting to do maximum DPS, topping the charts, just supporting the rest of the guys, reporting the rest of the team, DPS, and it's fun. It's fun. I think a lot of people have Bishop alts just because of the way that it's so, it's kind of refreshing a different play style, being support, and clearing content from that perspective. But then I think my second option is Sia. I think Sia just feels like it's always going to be good, right? It's MapleStory Mobile's first original character, so it's always going to have to be relevant. And I think there's a lot more representation of Sia and seeing how strong they are, and how useful they are, and they seem like they're only going to get better and better with V3 and with more rebalances in the future. It just feels like they're just so new that they're going to make them fun to play. They're going to make them viable. They're going to make them, they're going to have value, and just, I mean, the skills look awesome. The play style is unique as well. All these classes I talk about, I feel like are very flashy. A lot of combo classes kind of have built-in skill cap, right? The combos, there's just a lot of different things that you can do play style wise. If you want to play support, if you want to do DPS, if you want to do mobbing, if you want to do bossing, I think Sia is a very great choice for someone that really wants to kind of nerd out, that really wants to do something completely different and really min max, or just wants to play Sia, a class that probably they've never played before, in any other version, obviously. And then I think one of the underrated, probably my favorite mage V3 has to be Evan. Evan, of course, I feel like every time I see skills, new V1, from V1, V2, V3, even from hypers, their first 170 hyper, it was always Evan was a standout, right? From their hyper skill when they're flying on their dragon, to their V1, to their V2, and now their V3. Their V3 just takes it up a tier. It just is epic. Their playstyle is with combos and just so many skills to micromanage and things like that. With the skill rotation, it just feels like Evans are never going to go be for lack of boredom, right? There's always going to be ways to get better and progress and get better at playing the class. And it just feels like their skills just keep going up a notch, as far as visually. It's just visually, it just feels like it just gets better and better. So Evans are a great option to reroll as well if you're looking kind of for those combo classes, and just a great V3. And I think one of the more underrated ones that I think that people don't really understand or talk about, but when I was talking to Geminis, my past podcast, he was talking about just how great Blaze Wizards are, and their future looks very bright this year with their V3 gives them a ton of lines, and then their remaster looks even better. So Blaze Wizards, sneaky reroll class. to get out ahead of it, prepare for a great next kind of six months, the end of the year, a great 2023. Blaze Wizards might be a sneaky great pick. It might be by the end of the year, might be one of the best mages in the game, maybe one of the best DPS classes in the game. So that might be a great choice as well. A lot of great, just thinking about it now, there's just a lot of great reroll classes, just from like archers, pirates, mages. There was multiple great options for each class. And it's just kind of rerolling is a pain, right? The Blair event for a lot of people just isn't enough. You got the nodes, you got to find the weapon, you got to do the leveling, you got to do jewels, symbols, accessories, you got to get your arc pendant again, hard Magnus drops, commander drops. It's just, I get it, right? It's a grind, but sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to do it just to kind of get excited again, right? Not be stuck in the same cycle of playing your class. But now, so we've done archers, pirates, mages, we got warriors, and we got thieves left. And we'll do thieves and we'll do warriors. Actually, we'll do warriors, because warriors is pretty obvious in my opinion. I think there's three kind of warrior choices that are sort of a tier above the other. And I think, in my opinion, warriors, every single warrior is in a really great place. Like Kaisers are having a comeback. Glory Kaisers, they're having a comeback. Arans are getting up there. I think people are starting to get more acclimated with Lotus, and it seems like every week that DPS, their DPS numbers keep going up in Arc and in Lotus. I think it's going to only be a matter of time before they start really kind of catching up to all the other warriors and just kind of showcasing what they're about, because I think Arans are a lot stronger than that are in a pretty good spot right now. But Kaisers are fun. Arans, Explorer Warriors, obviously. Heroes are good. Dawn Warriors might be a sneaky good option. Their V3 looks insane, and they're gonna get their Cygnus Knights remaster as well. Completely remastered everything, just completely different playstyle. The visuals on that class is gonna be epic. That class just looks insane after with the Korean Maple Story remaster. That class is just going to visually look amazing, and their damage is already pretty strong. So definitely might be a great option, especially for those sword users. But my top 3 warriors that I was thinking of for re-rolling, it has to be the Blaster, right? Even though, again, it kind of depends on what device you're playing with, your ping, a lot of things, right? Kind of things out of the class's control, really. But it's a unique play style. Risk reward, high skill cap. There's a real steep learning curve. But arguably the best DPS in the game. Blaster has the highest peak, highest potential. Can't really go wrong. Can't really say not to reroll to that class if you're looking for top tier DPS and a challenging class that feels like you can continue to get better, right? You can continue to, skill cap wise, just continue to do better and do more DPS. And it's not just one button masher, like some of these other classes. So it feels like it's one of those classes that if you're looking for a real challenge and you're looking for kind of to continue to go up the DPS charts, Blaster is arguably second to none. And then 2 Explorer Remaster classes, DKs and Paladins, can't go wrong with either. Arguably 2 of the strongest classes already, as it is very different play styles. I think, DKs are more steady state, consistent damage dealers. They have great kind of consistent damage of skills, rotations that have shorter cooldowns that just over time kind of just does a ton of damage post Explorer Remaster. And then with their V3s, apparently has the best burst, the most lines in the game. Just sounds insane. Probably, if not in the game, it's right there, top 1, 2, 3. DKs are looking like they're going to be in a really good spot post V3, and they already are top tier as it is with their survivability, their mobility, their damage. It just feels like can't go wrong with DKs as a reroll choice. And then of course the Paladins, non-bias, just straight up. I mean, I don't need to be biased. Paladins are insane. Someone just asked me if they should reroll to Paladin. I was like, without a doubt. I mean, not just how strong they are right now, but they're kind of endgame proof. Noble demand is still a thing. Crit res is still a thing in all content. You can't just rely on a fair trade. They have, Echo is massive. Synchro, res, single res for the team. Paladins aren't going anywhere, regardless if their DPS goes up or not, or goes down. But their V3 is, again, right up there with DK's most lines in the game, greatest huge burst. They're going to be insane in guild content. They're going to be insane in kind of bursty situations. Might have the best burst in the game right there with Mercedes. Might have the best 60-second burst. I think they're not going anywhere. And even if their DPS falls off somehow, endgame boss, and you're still going to need one for all content. So those are my 3 warriors. But again, I think all warriors have very unique play styles. I think heroes are really good. They just don't have the survivability of DKs and paladins, but their damage is insane. Their V3 looks pretty good too as well. They're just glass cannons. They just do a ton of damage. They just don't have the survivability. But if you have an aggro, if you allow them to just kind of be, stand behind the boss and do tons of DPS, they're going to crank, and they're fun, and they look flashy, and they look badass. There's OG warrior. Can't go wrong. Honestly, I love all the warrior classes. I can't go wrong with any of them. But if I had to choose, blaster, paladin, DKs, kind of tier above. And then finally, thieves. I feel like it's hard to just pick a few. I think all the thieves have something that they bring to the table that's different, that you could argue is worth re-rolling to. I just think that if you're a thief that's re-rolling, you really just have to find something that fits your play style, honestly, because DPS wise, they all can do DPS, they all can do damage, they all have survivability, they all are flashy in their own way. The ones that kind of stand out to me, no surprise, dual blades, arguably one of the top DPS, probably top DPS thief still in the game. They're not going anywhere. Even if their V3 is not the greatest, can't see Nexon nerfing them into the ground or nerfing them at all. And, bringing them down a tier. So I think dual blades are definitely up there. I think shadowers are low key. I just love the shadower class. I can't say enough about how fun that game play style is. The animations are actually slept on. Assassinate looks badass. They're hyper badass. Meso explosion, bloody meso, whatever it is called. It's their teleports, their V1s, their V2s. They just have so much. I think they're just fun, and their DPS is really strong, and they get a pretty good V3 burst that they need. That's going to help their guild dungeon score, their burst. It's going to help their overall damage. I think shadowers, maybe honestly, by the end of V3, shadowers might overtake dual blades. I wouldn't be surprised if they become the number one dagger wielding DPS spec in the game by the end of V3, once V3 comes around, and especially in Damien with the amount of teleports that they have. They're looking nice. They are looking nice. Then I can't go without saying Phantoms. Pretty much, Phantoms ain't going anywhere either. Like the Bishop, like the Paladin, like the Shade, support classes. If you got one of them, if you are one of them, you're always going to need one, maybe even 2. Phantoms is probably that one class that you need multiple if you can. Just so much damage, so much utility, just so much versatility. They're just not going anywhere. Phantoms are as safe of a class as to reroll to as it gets. They just get buffed. Even if they don't get buffed directly, they can get buffed through explore classes, through the stolen skills. They have the best survivability in the game, great mobility. They just have so much tools in the toolkit. they can adapt to anything. Any rebalance, any play style, any meta changes, they'll be just fine in all content. And Phantoms are really, really good. And then my last choice has to be Nightwalkers. I think Nightwalkers are in a good place right now. Maybe not as strong as they once were, but I think post V3 and especially post remaster, it seems like they're going to be back. Their attacks going to be faster. It's going to be smoother. It's going to be less, it's going to be more fluid. The clones are going to be flying around. Everything, bats going to be flying around. I think they're just going to be, I feel like they're going to be a tier above once that remaster comes around. And I'm excited for them. We got a lot of Nightwalkers in the server, in our runs, in the guild. Nightwalkers are bass. Nightwalkers are sick. And they're excited. They're excited for that remaster coming up. Hear a lot of great things about the Nightwalker. And I think don't sleep on Night Lords. V3, apparently their burst is insane as well. Ton of lines. Not surprising. I think that they're just not as, they're kind of a glass cannon again, like the heroes. They don't have much survivability. Their barrage is very, very reliant on the boss not moving. And just looking ahead at Damien, that's like the worst boss for Night Lord. It feels like they're just not going to be able to maximize their damage. Not going to be able to use their shuriken, their barrage, not much mobility, survivability. Maybe Night Lords will prove me wrong out there, but it feels like compared to the other thieves, they just will not thrive like they do in Arc. They struggle in Lotus compared to the other thieves. It's much harder for them, and I see Damien not being much different. So that's just my opinion. I think if I were to choose thieves, again, can't really go wrong with any. Like I mentioned, even Xenons up there feel like they are in a good place as well. But I think Phantom, Shadower, Dual Blade, Nightwalker. I mean, that's pretty much all the thieves. All the thieves all have a case. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. I was just just wanted to give my thoughts on the Lady Blair event that came out, that's coming out. Excited to see if anyone rerolls or people that have rerolled in the past finally getting their M labels and their pets kind of switched over. But I think if there's a time to reroll and really pull the trigger, now's the time, right? You got time to level up, to catch up, get to level 200, to get your nodes through when nodes are cheap, to have time to get your commander drops, to get your Lotus runs, your Arc runs, just everything to kind of get back to competitive levels. You have enough time to get there before V3 comes out in July, right? So you have about 3 months, less than 3 months till that comes out. That's enough time to get to level 215, to max your nodes, to hopefully get a commander drop, maybe 5 set, 6 set, get your pendant, and to be ready to challenge DPS, to do DPS in once V3 comes out. So excited to hear if anyone is planning on rerolling. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. What you agree with, disagree with, what you would say is the top reroll class of archers, thieves, mages, pirates, warriors. Just comment below what you think. This is a little fun just to do, just kind of off the top of my head. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.